Hello everyone, my name is Mir Nimchin, and I'd like to thank everyone who's attending this function today, and also a big thank you to the organizers for inviting me. And just a little bit about myself. I did my schooling in Kohima, and during my childhood, I studied here till class 6. Then I moved to south of India, to Kodi International School, where I did my level. And after that, for my college, I went to the National Institute of Design in Ahmedabad, which was for about 4.5-year course. And since then, since I passed out from NID, I've been working professionally in Mumbai for about 13 years. And in 2015, for me wanting to keep up with the technology and the trends, in terms of my profession, I decided to go to the UK to do a master's degree from Bournemouth University in UK. And now my current place of work is in Kohima, and I shifted there about last year, and I've been working from home since then. And the film that you saw, Nokok Liba, this film was actually an inspiration that I got when I was doing my dissertation paper in NID, when I came across J.P. Mill's book, The Ao Nagas. And some of the folk tales that he has documented really fascinated me. So this was one of the stories. So I really got inspired to make a film on this. And I made a proposal to the Children's Film Society of India. And fortunately, they were very forthcoming, and they decided to sponsor my film. And the film is as you also it's a simple tale about good versus evil. And I always thought documenting the stories in a digital format can be made more accessible to especially younger audience. Because how many people would go read a J.P. Mill's book, right? So that was one of my goals. And production, I handled everything entirely. It was a very tedious task, and it took me about 2.5 years to make this film. And starting from the inception to the storyboarding to the design and the whole production. And fortunately, I had a brother-in-law who is a musician, so we collaborated together. So some of the music stock that you hear, the sound, we actually came and recorded live during the Hornbill Festival. That was in the year 2004. And fortunately, this film went to win an award, also the National Film Award, the 54th National Film Award for Best Animation and Direction. Now moving on, so I'm just going to give you a brief overview of some of the key projects pertaining to Naga culture. So the second one was this Ao Ken Ai, which was another Naga folk tale. And this was part of my final student diploma project. And I was fortunate enough, as you can see here, Mr. Ram Mohan, he's known as the pioneer of animation in India. He trained under Disney, Walt Disney, and then in San Francisco, and then he came and set up an animation studio here in India. So I was privileged enough to get him as my mentor and as my sponsor to make this second film. And this film luckily got selected at NSA Animation Film Festival in France and Zagreb International Film Festival in Croatia. So again, it's a very simple story about a pig and a dog. And moving on into now my illustration projects. So I came across through Ram Mohan again, this fairly new publishing house that was just emerging called Tulika Publishers, and they were looking out for indigenous stories. So now this current book is now translated into 4 different languages. I think Telugu, Hindi, Kannada, and I forget one more. And I feel things like this could be an opportunity for our stories, our indigenous stories, to be locally exposed as well, and not just confined to the state. So because we have got very good reviews with this book because it's something that it's a simple story. It's about how the sun rises when the rooster crows. So it's like something that children can also relate with. And so this was about like a few years back. I had a pet project. Like every time I used to come to Nagaland, because I stayed most of my time outside, so I always used to see this person with this pig on the road, you know. So and I felt it. I found it quite amusing, and also like I felt that there was a story. So during my during my free time, I used to sketch, and like I had kept this concept in the burner for a long time. So when Indian Quarterly magazine approached me to do a 6-pager piece, so me and my writer friend, whom I collaborated with on this project, we decided to do on the love pig. So it's just a simple observational story, and we weaved it out into a story about the relationship between the master and the pig, and how he goes to sow his seeds. So, so that was one, and in the year 2021, during the COVID time, like since 2019 actually, starting like at the peak of COVID, I decided like it was a good opportunity for me to move away from my usual digital medium of animation and do something more, you know, like a basic, more basic in terms of like traditional kind of an art. So I decided to, though I could not include all the 16 tribes, I ended up making 11 tribes, trying to depict like the Naga people and the culture and the costumes. Like, as we are all aware that all indigenous tribal society have always practiced the art of oral tradition through storytelling. Somehow I felt that none of these stories are being properly documented. And so this series was conceptualized to celebrate the diverse culture of Naga people. The series is a result of a few years of research during my time, which included travels and especially meeting like the older generation who knew a lot of stories, so and legends. The aim was to also capture the richness of the Naga people's traditional wear and paint images of the Naga way of life in all its authenticity. So, like for example, like we just I happened to see like the whole talk on like the Ao Naga shawl. So something similar to that, like I was always told about the story of man and tigers sharing the same spirit. So I was very inspired by that concept. So I decided to do something with that, where a man is seen completely relaxed in front of the tiger because they share the same soul. And this is a part of the second series, where the man is walking away and the tiger walks away, but the shadow, the man retains the tail of the tiger in his shadow. So it's like kind of a metaphor that I was playing with. And now coming back to my professional work, like it's quite different from like the kind of projects that I've just shown you. I'm not going to go one by one, so I'll just leave you with a show reel so that you get an idea on the context or on the type of kind of work that I do professionally. So.
Can we please have the media team to assist Miriam Chin in this matter?
Sorry, a little bit of a technical issue. So can you break through Marina's because it's it's so really sorry for that thing. It's sorry about that. Like, is the mic on? Yeah, sorry about that. A little bit of a technical issue. So I won't be sharing the show reel. Thank you so much. That's the end.
Thank you, Marin Imchin. If our AV crews can do something about it, we'll try to feature the video that you were trying to play. We were all looking forward to it. Anyway, now we move on to Malona Wati Longchar, who is a creative consultant sharing her creation, My Awesome Dog. Please welcome Malona Wati Longchar.
Hello everyone. Thank you again to the Listener Festival and to the sponsors and partners for having us here today. For my presentation, I'm just going to give you a brief background to my work and also a quick snapshot to the creative process around my book. So I'll just start right away. Hello, I am Malona Wati Longchar. I am a storyteller. Over the years, my passion to tell stories have manifested in different forms and shapes. From being able to amplify incredible stories about this nation, to even curating a culture around the sports for the youth, to even curating a story of a love niche motorcycling brand to the rest of the world, and even giving a unique voice and a visual language to India's coolest airline. The intersectionality of stories coming together, our stories matter. Especially stories that have our center of experiences in them. For example, in 2011, I got a chance to work on Shadows, a graphic collection of folktales from Nagaland with a group of Naga creatives, Aki, Lipok, and Nawang, commissioned by the Department of Art and Culture. These were beautifully illustrated stories from 7 different tribes. And in the process of us researching, compiling, verifying, interviewing people, this collaborative and collective year-old then, I really started to think about how can I tell stories about our culture. And especially to my child, to teach her about how to pass it on in a way that will be engaging for her. But I knew that culture as an idea, as a concept, is very large and broad. So I decided I want to just choose a vertical or an area to focus on. So I decided, okay, let me start off with teaching my kid how. This is also something that I wanted to get myself familiarized with it because I also grew up in a boarding school since I was the age of 7. So I thought this would be a great exercise for both me, myself, and also for my daughter. So, and the reason I chose out to teach her was that even before we, growing up, even before we can identify written text or read, we're able to naturally respond to sounds. So that is something I wanted to focus on. So with that, I said, okay, I want to teach my kid out, but how do I make it fun and also interesting and engaging? So then with these objectives and ideas, I started to think about it. And it helped me to shape and expand the idea, and which helped me to also self-publish my children's book, which was called My Awesome Dog. Now, the word of play, right, it sets up the book to be something lighthearted and fun, but at the same time, this word of play also is a method that reinforces the intent of the book, which is a focus on the owlness of it. This book has also been translated and reprinted in Ow, and it's called Ke Ow Ternamjan Azza. And even if the title is different, because the language structure is different between English and Ow, the essence and the idea of the book still remains the same. So coming to this book, this book is about a dog who can speak Ow. A dog who will teach you new words and sounds in an awesome way. So the reason I kind of focus on sounds especially, the sounds is something I played with in this book, is because sound is a tool that can help create like a sensory effect or vivid imagery when you read things or you engage with stuff. And sound also, if you use it in repetition, becomes a tool to help kids be able to identify patterns and novel words and connect concepts, new concepts. So, and what I also realized was that we are very familiar with other linguistic sounds, zap, pop, buzz, kaboom. And I took some very obvious examples, and I'm sure many of you sitting here will be able to come up with your own examples of it. So I took the opportunity where I wanted to flip the script and make others get familiar with our sounds as a reference. So in the book, you will come across some of the R words are aya, rarar, arung, how, wong, and ayar. And when you read the book, you'll understand in what context these words and sounds have been used. So using my, let me just do this. Using my branding and advertising background, I said, how do I bring these elements together? So I said, okay, I'm going to have a visual identity, a verbal, and a unique positioning or selling point. So for the visual identity, I introduced it in a purple, quirky little dog, which has its own charm, and making it, putting in context with humorous illustration of this dog helps the kids engage with it, because humor is also another tool to help engage people with new concepts or ideas that I've mentioned. And coming to the verbal identity, using our sounds in colorful fonts and infused it with the cultural elements of our culture. This also creates engaging, which is for the kids to be able to really have a sound hook, something that they can get hooked to and kind of practice and mimic. And what I've realized with this book is even if you don't speak the language, when you're able to interact and say those words, it creates a sort of association with it, even though you're not fluent now. And the last one was this, the way I positioned it was a dog who can speak, and in this case, this dog can speak out. And one of the reasons this happened was, since my kid was 2 years old, one of like a common global kind of a common language with kids. So this was just a snapshot of my background and my creative process with my work. So what started out as a playful story for my daughter turned into a book, and now I can even say a project, because now the more I kind of interact with other creatives and the more I learned about our culture and the stories, I'm more excited about in what other ways can I maybe recapture, reinterpret, reimagine all the kind of the untold stories that we have in our culture. So this was just a quick snapshot, so thank you very much, and Kamapilar.
Our discussant. She will be joined by an illustrious panel, including Malona Wati Longchar, Dr. Tassile Ziliang, Tiamaran Iyer and Mern Imchen, promising an insightful and lively discussion. Please warmly welcome them on stage. We've also received some good news. We've managed
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 8th session of the Listener, a Festival of Orality. Since Thursday evening, we are really having an enriching session with the consciously curated themes and sessions, and I'm sure that all of us have grown richer in our thinking and even prouder of our roots. This afternoon, we are going to talk a little, and this is what we have seen just now in the works of Mulunawati Longjar and Mern Imchen. And many times we feel that Imchen, Muluna, Dr. Tassile, and even Tiamaran Iyer for keeping the tradition alive. Because it's very rare to see parents telling stories to children without any visuals or without any technological interventions, and we hardly find families sitting around the fireplace telling stories like our forefathers, and thus interventions that Molona and Mern Imchen has made, which they have creatively packaged so beautifully in order to get the attention of the young minds. Because I feel that in order to keep the oral tradition going, we need to appeal to the young minds. So oral traditions is a responsibility of the individual as well as the community. And community like the listener, Nagaland, keeps the oral traditions alive. In order to start the discussion, I don't know with whom I should start, but maybe I should start with Mern, and we have seen just the animation film that Mern has shown, and not only that, he is an excellent graphic novelist and an illustrator, and come to think of it, working in different parts of India with different culture, with the big brands, but coming back here and giving back to the people, that's really appreciative. And we should really appreciate the effort that you're making. And seeing some of the works that you have shared with the audience today, we would like to know what inspires you and what inspires to take on the Naga stories, the folk tales, and to bring it to a bigger audience, not just in the written word, but in different formats.
I think for me, like a lot of inspiration has to do with like growing up. When I was growing up, like I was in Kohima. So regarding the film, it's always been in my mind, like to actually preserve some of the stories, like in a digital format. So like the stories don't get lost to start with, and then also like it's preserved and so that it becomes more accessible for younger generations. And maybe, I mean, like for example, like the How Can I film, which I did, I took the liberty because I didn't say it is an it is an Ao folk tale. I said it's an adaptation from a Naga folk tale. So like I changed the story a little bit. Like, forgive me, I took the creative license to do so because in the Naga culture, I know it's especially folklores and all, like they're very stringent on like not to change it. But I also believe like certain stories can be made more meaningful in order to adjust with the going context. And I think as storytellers, and especially as being Naga, we can do that. So I took that liberty and like I said like it's an adaptation. But I feel like capturing the stories in a visual form is like one really good way for the younger generations to know about these folk tales.
Thank you. When we, as a mother of young children, how difficult it is to, communicate in our own language. And looking at a book, I must say that we can learn at least the pressure of learning, his or her own mother tongue. So what I want you to share with us is that how do you take it further? In either in a book format or any other format that you are taking.
So, like I think you just said about the pressure in learning a new language, and I believe that sometimes, like for me, growing up away from, like since I was 7 years old, I can speak in Chungli, but Mongson is something that I still really struggle with, and I want to learn, but something just within the family. I mean, that's something I struggle with. And I know that a lot of kids, some are linguistically can pick up really fast, some can't, and I was one of those. And my child also, she can only speak like English right now predominantly, because it's not just because of, like obviously it's also us also because I think we first speak in English, and then even the content that she watches, the accessibility of content is mostly in English also. And when I was trying to teach her in Ao, very like how I was taught, like through Bible verses or stories, I realized that engaging with her was really difficult, because it's not just about trying to teach her, but you're also kind of competing in a world where there's so much more interesting content for them. And it could be even a Telugu folk tale. I want her to get into screen time, because as I mentioned, she was 2 years old. But now as she grows older, I know that the book format, like even as Mern mentioned, accessibility gets a bit limited with book, because it gets stuck, it gets kind of into how much do you print, what is the cost, what is the price, and there's a lot of logistics involved in it. So, and there's also a lot of, with the logistics of sending it abroad, also even look like international platforms, it makes it very easy as a family to find time and sit and watch at your own time. Because trying to get everyone in this time where everyone works, like nowadays there's lots of two-income household, both the father and the mother works, and even the grandparents are working, and it's just there's been a shift even in the family dynamics. So I think it's about, like she said, I think throughout this whole session, the last few days, about documenting, archiving, recording, and how digitally it makes it more accessible. So moving forward, like some of the projects that I've been like talking and ideating with even other people, it's more in the digital platform, because a book can have a lot of physical restrictions to it.
Thank you. Another question. Do you think that your book, My Awesome Book, Dog, can it be translated to other Naga languages?
Right now, I think, like I said, translate to Ao, but again, that was also quite a challenge because trying to find a wordplay, we realized we can't really do that in the Naga language just because the language structure is different. And just trying to get translate into Ao, also we had to figure the grammar, just a lot of words. And so I think going into another language, since I don't know like the structure of it, it might sound really good, and I would love to, but I think I would have to sit with someone who's maybe a Sema, Angami, or even other people and try to see. But it can be translated, but I think I'll be more excited in not like in trying to work with other languages or other individuals bringing in their new narratives and how they can maybe create a story in their own phonetics or around linguistic sounds. So I would love to, but I think I would love to see more from other people bringing from their sides.
Thank you. That was quite an insightful sharing, and I hope that the other communities would also come forward to work on such books. Now moving on, we have Dr. Tassili, who has sung 3 songs, and interestingly, she was carrying quite a thick book, which has songs and poems in her own language. So you sang 3 poems, right, today? And do you think that you can, bring together your community and especially the younger people and make them understand the importance of the work that you have done, because it's the work for the community? And if we look back or if we look around, our stories are sung in songs, our stories are read in poems, our stories are told in poems, and so on and so forth. So how do you think especially young manuhan the importance of making the young people understand the value of it?
Thank you. So, talking Nagamis. मैं पहला तो एक folk tales story लिखी से अच्छा और नंबर 2 story न जाने ले मैं खान लगा future लगा बच्चा खान तो एको मैं खान लगा हिस्सा न जाना हो जाओ और मैं खान लगा story ते folk tale ते इमानी important आसे और word शब्द खान भी बेसी important मैं खान बाजार language न होई के ने grammar खान भी बेसी important खान आसे itu jani bohi lage koi kana amai bi bisar kena ekta story likhi se dara cham satkhat means volume 1 inika aro picture bi likhi se banai se picture kami drawing kami kori se aro bacha khan besi interest itu kini ka ase ki ase koi kana na jana bacha khan aro amai to kumba jaga te bi jaila kumba jaga te bi jaila you can talk any language, but at least you should call your mother in your mother tongues. Ito advises them wala today. Foreign kota ko bi English bi ko wala amma baba ni sila ko thapra ko bi ko kana mal to kunba jaga te bi to advice de to amay kan baki kan to baki kan ke to mami kiba kibi ko lu amay ke to apoy ni sila ka base anay ante ni ka ko ito kami bi important na sa ajikali la bacha kan kila mana amai kan dia bisi pura leka English fluently English ko mano kani likha pura kana se jana ase ini ka se hoy jana manui ko ase hole me niche laga kahani na jani ne amai kan ko to price to na jana to itu pra factor is very important for the young generations, even for us also. Aro Gana to Gana jana manu khichra ase ini ka koi question hodala point to ahibo manokan bisari ase research kore ase etia festival ahibo even our traditional Gana kena kore traditional dress bi na thaki kena thaki jai to etia folk song khan na janile na hobo ko ekne hiki ase or amoi khan me hikai ase even etia amoi khan la jaga festival ase থাকিছে 30 or 31st to tapon bosti kami first time takhan jaga koribo kena makhan mote to poetry amar hikai dise aru tai khan gana kori kena video pathaise man khoshi paise to folk tales folk song is very important aru itu hey I can young generation khan ke unite ekilo tai ke master anibole ekta platform ase inika bhavna ase manato thank you.
Thank you. Do I need to explain that? Yeah, in short, what she's saying is that the importance of folklores in the story of community, in keeping the community. And one important point that she has mentioned is that no matter how many languages you can speak, you need to learn to speak in your mother tongue. Yeah. Thank you for being the storyteller and memory keeper of the Ziliang tribe. Now we have the most versatile, person who can sing a love song in such a way that it will just melt your heart. At the same time, the essence of his tradition and culture always, it always enhances his music. And as a composer, also he always makes sure that that essence is brought out. And he has sung about life, life in general, and he sings about love. He sings about even corruption. He sings a song about a cultivator, the Aluyumber. And in that song, he talks about the joy of being a cultivator. His daily life as a cultivator, the gratitude that he sings to God as a cultivator. So I've requested him to sing that song, even though if time permits, he can sing the whole song. But I would like to sing at least a stanza and a chorus, so that
You mean now?
Yeah. After that, I'll get back to you.
Okay. Give me a stand. Summer, Zenjia, Dia, on the way out to river. Lemantala, Silaka, Elasitanotanker, Pampamuraga, Idiaka, Niplar. Thank you.
I get up very early in the morning and get ready to go to the field, it talks about hard work, which was the essence of our society, and which I hope still is. And one thing I would like to ask is, what inspires to write or compose such kind of songs? And how do you think that you are also being a responsible citizen in order to keep the oral tradition going on with your songs?
First of all, thank you, songs.
He sings better than Don Williams. You can try. Yeah, thank you, Tiamaran, for the song, as well as keeping the tradition alive through your songs. We still have about 5 minutes, 2 minutes. Okay, 2-3 minutes. So, is there anyone who would like to ask anything? Okay, I'm glad that we could, we are being able to wind up on time. So I just want to leave you all with this thought. Oral tradition, I believe, is all about managing and nurturing the emotional, intellectual aspiration of a society. And may we all have the consciousness to listen to our stories and the passion to tell our stories before someone else start telling our story. And may we all have the joy to sing our songs before someone else sing our songs. We need to continue in our journey of orality as responsible storytellers and memory keepers. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for the wonderful and refreshing session. I hope all your initiatives will be carried forward by us, and we only pray and hope that we will continue to encourage our children also to keep up with this oral tradition in preservation of our oral heritage, cultural heritage. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are on the brink of an enlightening session where we will embark on an exploration of the Karbi worldview. This intricate worldview and its facets hold the keys to a deeper understanding of a remarkable culture. Leading us into this realm is Dr. Dharam Singh Theron, a distinguished writer, independent researcher, and the founder of the Center for Karbi Studies. His deep knowledge and passion for the Karbi culture will unravel the mysteries of Som with D.S. Lekte as our officiant. Ladies and gentlemen, please warmly welcome Dr. Dharam Singh Theron. Facilitating this insightful discussion are the illustrious L. Somi Roy of the Imasi Foundation, and of course Dr. Dharam Singh Theron and D.S. Lekte themselves. This session promises to open our hearts and minds to the unique perspectives and wisdom of the Karbi people. Is Mr. Somi Roy here? Oh, I think you can start without Mr. Somi. Can we please have the laptop here? We have a presentation to display.
Good afternoon. What is the time frame for me? Yes. Can I have the yeah. Okay. So time is very limited. Thank you for your patience waiting for our session. I have my friend, he is D.S. Lekte. Earlier during the day, I introduced him as our very young he is a tiger priest. So since his forefathers' days, Mr. Lekte has been propitiating the spirits of tigers. So Karbis still have this practice of feeding the tiger annually, once a year. And then they have to be very strict in the matter of where to eat, where to sleep. So his life is actually very regulated, but nowadays, of course, this is a modern time, so Of course, he cannot be as strict as his forefathers used to be, but okay. I will talk a little bit about what is worldview. So worldview, we all have a philosophy. Everybody as individuals, we all have certain ideas about our own life, what I want to do, or as a member of a group, of a tribe, we all have, ideas about our own, world, our relations with our surrounding. So that's basically worldview. And then, so this is, Karbi worldview is derived from their religious and cultural practices, beliefs, myths, and legends, which enable them to make sense of the physical and metaphysical world that answer their existential questions about their life, about life and death. So this is just come to think of it, that being able to write is equated with being civilized in many Western notions. Therefore, non-literate people like us, we have very recently we have been acquainted with or introduced to literacy, the art of writing. But before that, we didn't have, our forefathers didn't have the advantage of, expressing their ideas through alphabets and things like that. So they're, condemned as societies who cannot engage in philosophy. But I have quoted from Native American scholars, Father Western philosophy, Socrates, he didn't write anything. Not a book, not a paper, not a thing, but he is regarded as the father of Western philosophy. So our forefathers, they had a lot of ideas and they did many miraculous things. They communicated with the other than human supernatural entities, which still we do. People like him, they communicate with supernatural entities, and they engage them in the healing of, healing traditions. So these are basically what my actually talk encompasses. We hold, Karbi people hold space as sacred, and we have a very, very important place for say. Say means word or sound or voice. So basically, all our healing practices involve say. So we basically do voice treatment. Then, as I said, we communicate with other than human or non-human or supernatural entities, which we call Chekama, and spirits or of our teachers and ancestors. Then our philosophy also has something to do with balance and duality. So we observe this balance and opposites. It's not like in Karbi we call it Hi'i and Arnam. So what is Hi'i and what is Arnam? Hi'i is the other of what we call Arnam. Arnam is roughly translated into English, this is God. So what is our idea of God? Our idea of God is something which is, basically we have only one word to express that. Sky. So sky is something we look up to, and then you would notice this. These days, this World Cup is going on. When some player hits some century, they always look up to the sky and then thank their gods. So it's something like that. So our idea of God is not something like the Eurocentric ideas about God. So our idea of God is something which is above, and he is the opposite of this, or just the other. It's not necessarily the Satan or devil. The missionaries and the colonial authors, they all equated our idea of the other, of the Arnam, God, as devil. So we were all classified or identified as devil worshippers. Then Parkuk Panthai, this is, I'll show you later on. Parkuk Panthai is the balance. One is, one is same thing like the yin and yang. Then we always go back to the roots. ritual items that you use, everything has its origin, and then without reciting the origin, without describing the origin, we don't perform any ritual. Then again, we have the divination practices. So we still do the examination of animal entrails, which is called XTSPC, and we have ovomancy, and then we have spear divination, and then we have turmeric divination, and then there are so many different forms of divination, which is the beginning of any ritual that we perform for healing. Then sacred numbers play a very important role in Karbi worldview. Say for example, 9 is very prominent in Karbi worldview, Karbi philosophy. So our philosophy tells us that when the earth was created, the earth stood upon 9 pillars, 9 posts. They are bound together by 9 black yarns and 9 white yarns, like that. Then instead of sin, our idea about violation of certain social norms. There are a series of socially accepted violations which are not exactly sin, but we have no other terminology to explain what is akir or kirtan, which is actually translated will give you something like sin. Then we have a very different idea of soul. We have more than at least 6 different types of souls. So if, say for instance, if in my dream I'm lost somewhere, or I fall off a cliff, or if I'm drowned or something like that, then you must go to a diviner and then find out. Because the loss of soul in your dream will also mean bad things happening to you physically. So there are at least 6 or 7 different types of souls. Then we have purity and profanity, that idea, and then that concept is this is not exactly the profanity or purity that we understand in Hinduism. It is completely different, and we call this entire concept under one term called Thekar. So whenever we perform rituals, we always perform Thekar, which is, in a sense, it's also a purification ritual. And then again, and then you don't feel confident enough to, carry on the daily course. Then we go to a diviner who will perform Vur Kematha. So Vur is like you're inviting positive energy to a person. And when Vur Kematha is performed, we believe that that person will gain in confidence. That person will have the energy, the inner energy. So the idea about self, the idea about energizing the inner self. So everything is under the rubric called Vur Kematha. Then again, there is this idea of Lamki, malice or envy or jealousy. So this is a very complicated and very complex kind of idea, because malice, everybody has some sort of malice. Even an unknown person may feel envious of somebody, without being related in some other manner. That malice or envy may that person may have that envious thoughts, envious ideas about somebody. So this malice or envy or jealousy, somebody having this malice or envy or jealousy against somebody may create that physical unwellness in that person. So we still perform an annual ritual to rid ourselves of those negative energies, actually, which may pull you down, which may make you sick, or even which may even kill. So that's why we understand that this lamki should be, the ritual should be performed annually, so that one can get rid of this lamki. Then again, the Karbi idea of life and death, it is actually, we call it Chethe. Chethe. So the Chethe is actually the life energy, and Karbi philosophy is, wound up in some terms like Chi, Chethe. It can both mean death, it can also mean life. So in this particular term, Chethe, big life. The is big, Chi is the life energy. So when a person dies, we also call the Chi of that person has gone. So it's I don't know how far this could have some relation with the Chinese idea of Chi, but we call this Chi Te. So if somebody dies, we call that person's Chi has disappeared or have gone. So there are this idea of life and then death, afterlife and liminality. When a person dies, his soul goes back to the village of the ancestors. We don't have the idea of either heaven or hell. When we die, we go back to the village of ancestors. So during the festival, funeral, I was telling you about earlier during the day, the very lengthy, epic kind of narrative called Charhe. So in the Charhe actually narrates, the journey of the soul, how the dead person's soul journeys back to the ancestors' village. So that's basically the idea. And then another very expensive and very complex kind of festival is performed, which lasts for about 4 to 5 days, which we call Chomangkan. Okay, this happens to ensure that the dead person's, the soul of the deceased doesn't have to, get trapped even after death in a place called Ritlu, which is actually a liminal space. Even after death, the soul doesn't have, automatic access to the village of ancestors. So that's why we perform the ritual of very big, expensive and complex funeral festival, which we call Chomangkan, and where a lot of very lengthy oral songs describing different segments of the festival are performed, which are still being performed, and then they are part of the Karbi idea of death, afterlife, and liminality. Then finally, time. The Karbi idea of time is something like the past, present, and future, which is a very European, Eurocentric kind of idea. It is linear. There is past, this is present, and that's future. In Karbi, it doesn't happen like that. In their daily usages, we will say the same word is being used. Say, for example, mo. Mo can be something which is about to happen, and mo is something which has just happened. So the same reality is past or future and present. There is no future, like this term future is non-existent in Karbi. So we instead use mo non-fi, which is future, past and present. Actually, future, past and present are expressed in the same word. So these are some of the kind of ideas, basic ideas to understand the Karbi idea about time. So time is not like it's flowing from one direction and flowing to another direction. It's not like that. So I think, what's the time now? Am I done? Okay, I was speaking about the Karbi idea of balance. So he is the person, T.S. Lekhe is the person who performs this ritual every day, almost like every day, whenever he's called. We take 2 leaves like this, and then we toss it in the air, and then we'll see when the leaves fall, if they create this pattern. This is one is up, one is down. So this is there everywhere. Whenever we perform any ritual, you will always find this very simple ritual being performed at the beginning of the healing worship. So we call it isi parkup, isi panthai. One is up, one is down, which basically tells you about the Karbi idea of balance and duality. And then I was telling you about the Karbi, the importance of number in Karbi idea, Karbi philosophy. On the right-hand side, you will see rice grains, placed in different patterns. 3 above the, banana leaf, and then 9 in the altar. This is a temporary mud altar. So this is exactly how it looks. The 9 is very important. And when the earth was created, 9 was there. And then when some person dies, then a person is carried by, what do you call this? There are certain, symbols. The 9 symbolisms is used even in, when a person dies. So this is, 9 is the completion of, the decimal 10 system of numerology. And in Karbi, 9 you will find everywhere. This is it. So I don't know how many of you might have seen this somewhere. This is Jambiliathon. And on the right hand side, what is this? This is Pimante Munai. Huh? Kopia. Amen Pimante. Okay. On the right hand side, you will see Kupimang Ong Lasopane Pubam. I forgot the exact term. This is Kupimang Ase Patita. Oh, sorry. This is placenta. So there is a song which narrates the origin of the structure you see on the left hand side. This is Jambiliathon, and there are 9 birds. The 9 symbolism is there, and in the song, the particular tree which is used to carve out this structure actually grew out of the placenta, which was buried after a boy's birth. The placenta was buried, and then from the placenta, a particular tree grew, and from the tree, this Jambiliathon was created. So even this placenta is called the tree of life, and even in Karbi, we call this tree of life. And then this 9 symbology is there. 1 above, 4 in the middle, and 4 again at the base. So this 9 is everywhere. These are all done. I think, okay, again, this is called Miringran. It is something like, it's not exactly maize, but this represents life and death. This particular object is used during the funeral festival called Chumangkan, and this signifies the Karbi idea about life and death, and it is the doorway to life and death. Honey. Okay, I'll request him to, as Madam was suggesting, that we should. So taking so the creation of earth. This is sometimes performed in verse, sometimes through oral narratives as a chant. So he'll perform it as a chant. So this happens every day, and we believe that by chanting the narrative of the creation of the earth, we energize, we empower a person. So, thank you.
No need. Thank you so much, sir. Actually, Dr. Drum Singh Teronson has just make me come over here and to just chant some verses of the creations of the art. So this is actually we normally performs whenever we perform this ritual, the particular ritual called Gurkamatha. Gurkamatha, Gur is actually energy. The whole actually what is the reasons behind we perform Gurkamatha, Dr. Drum Singh Teron will elaborate. So how we chant the creation story is like that. Ahem, hem, 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 niharicho, tegunde, retunde, podalam, podakibuna. Ahem, hem, hem, nitu, nitang, nirem, nitai, chiklori, chor, niri, chor, pansir kep, arjus kep, kimsir kep, rapsir kep, urmi, durmi, telang, taman, chiklori, urmi, durmi, telang, taman, bomta, bomti, bomkru, podalam, podakibuna, yo, pada bani, suryalam kalide, parwalam kalide, ariyalam kalide, ariyalam kalide, pada tante, pada bani tante, piniani tante, pinia, jo tante, pithe, kima, sab, mintari, kima, sab, sabik, thumnangi, pung, thoning, busa, yo, bang, kethe, tumbang, kethe, tumbang, kethe, tumbang, kethe, tum, lasi, sabik, thum, jede, pung, thum, jede, ne, pani, tintona, ne, bodona, pakidona, pakhandona, delang, pithe, kima, sab, pitnari, kisa, pithe, cho, puthe, cho, nang, pithe, kima, sab, mintari, kima, sab, samning, tumbo, pung, ning, tum, la, lam, la, kilo, de, hem, marna, non, tanang, nipi, non, tanang, nepo, de, pini, arni, de, pini, ajo, pithe, ki, masa, mindar, ki, masa, sab, ne, ing, thumji, pong, ne, ing, thumji, ke, plang, asab, tang, te, ki, pi, asab, tang, te, pithe, ki, masa, mindar, ki, masa, la, arni, si, ajo, pithe, athak, tang, te, pithe, atnang, tang, te, pithe, le, ka, vede, mindar, le, ka, vede, niyang, plin, bang, keto, nijang, plin, bang, keto, anta, lo, sai, de, anta, man, sai, de, kupu, ke, mejima, kupu, ke, chok, jima, pithe, ri, cho, lisi, puthe, ri, cho, lisi, lale, matha, voi, pa, lale, jadi, voi, tha, anam, paro, la, ani, paro, lale, bang, tha, kipu, lale, bang, non, kipu, mai, le, do, sinang, le, thai, le, do, sinang, ching, wai, le, do, sinang, ching, sai, le, do, sinang, la, se, bang, anam, paro, atum, ani, paro, atum, lale, ke, bang, loke, lale, ki, ju, loke, lale, mai, nang, do, loke, la, thai, nang, do, loke, lale, ching, wai, loke, lale, ching, sai, loke, o, anam, paro, o, ani, paro, pini, ani, tangte, pini, ani, tangte, la, mai, ke, pa, tangte, thai, ke, pa, tangte, dak, pithe, atha, dak, mindar, atha, pithe, le, ka, vede, mindar, le, ka, vede, pithe, le, kim, sinang, mindar, le, kim, sinang, kupu, ke, mejima, kupu, ke, chok, jima, anam, paro, pude, ani, paro, pude, o, pithe, richo, o, puthe, richo, ni, tum, ke, kim, thek, thek, ni, tum, ke, rang, thek, thek, pithe, ke, kim, abang, mindar, ke, rang, abang, mukrang, sar, po, dolo, mukrang, sar, pi, dolo, mukrang, sar, po, hang, non, mukrang, sar, pi, hang, non, pithe, richo, lisi, puthe, richo, lisi, mukrang, sar, po, ke, pa, mukrang sar pi ke pha mukrang sar po ke wang mukrang sar pi ke wang ku pi alam lo ma ku pi aki lo ma o pi the ri cho o pu the ri cho ana ni ning ke ana jo ning ke wang tha ki bu ave wang non ki bu ave pi the ri cho pu de pu the ri cho pu de pi the athak tang te mindar athak tang te pi the le ka ve de mindar le ka ve de pi the kim nang ji mindar kim nang ji ki kim hem phu ke nang ki rang hem phu ke nang ki kim ke nang lo de ki rang ke lang lo de bang asai jok je bang asai long le mukang sar policy mukang sar pilisi ni hang keng det ke dam ni jang keng det ke dam ale nu jok le kiri dam nu jam le kiri dam nu jok sir kep ri dam nu jam sir kep ri dam ar pan sir kep ri dam ar jon sir kep ri dam nu jok sir kep long lo nu jam sir kep long lo ar pan sir kep long lo ar jon sir kep long lo ki ma long ke wang ra ka long ke wang to se he lik tum nang rup hi lik tu nang ser hi lik nang tu rup hi lik nang tu an le ki rang lo ke an le ki kim lo ke an ning we nang kim adap le nang ru ham adap le nang kim an ning we ru ham ku phu ke me ji ma ku phu ke chok ji na ki kim ke thil the de ki rang ke thil the de ki kim ke ni ne de ki rang ke ni ne de pi the ri cho pu de pu the ri cho pu de la na lam tang te la na ki tang te ta ik nang ji itum ta lok nang ji itum ta ik le hang dam tha ta lok le da hang tha chu ik le hang nam tha chu lok le hang dam tha phuk ba re sar pi suk ba re sar pi ta ik la hem phu ta lok la hem phu chu ik la hem phu chu lok le hem phu anam phar holi si ani phar holi si mukrang sar policy jagrang sar policy le ke dam loke le ki ju loke adim ke le pen le aklong ke le pen le huk ba re sar pi suk ba re sar pi la le nang rom thu de la le nang bak thu de ku pi lam lo ma ku pi ki lo ma ku pi ke wang ma ti ku pi ke ju ma ti ku pi lam ka li ku pi ke ju ka li bang pu the ri cho bang pu the ri cho bang pu the ke kim bang min da ke kim ta I ka ve de tak lo ka ve de an ning ve nang kim adap nang ru ham adap le nang kim an ning ri ru ham ku pu ke me ji ma ku pu ke chok ji ma ta ik nang gi si wang tak lo nang gi si wang la na lam tang te la na ki tang te rong do kok te tik rong sang kok te tik ale rong do lo ke rong sang kok lo ke jing lu jo par ni jing thi jo par ni le apun ke me kang wai achak ke me kang wai le ni hang pur ke kri ni jang pur ke kri apun ke me long lo achak ke me long lo ta ik jeng sir kep ta lok jeng sir kep chu ik jeng sir kep chu lok jeng sir kep ke ni ke ma long wan lo ke rang a long wan lo ke ta ik hever cling ta lok hever cling ta ik hever klak ta lok hever klak ke kim ke thir lo ke rang ke thir lo to la ke me lo to la ke chok lo anang pharo lisi ani pharo lisi la le nang rong thu de la le nang bak thu de o pi the ri cho o pu the ri cho ku pu ke me ji ma ku pu ke chok ji ma an ke kim kimi an ke rak kimi an ke kim ursoi an ke rang ursoi urmi ave de le turmi ave le de la ana lam tang te la ana ki tang te to sor jong ri cho to sor ju ri cho ho thi bi ni atum theng bi ni atum ni hang wai pha ka bang ni jang wai pha ka bang ser pin ven ki tha ru pin ven ki tha pin ven ki cho ji tha ju ven ki chu tha la le nang thip lo ke la le nang theng lo ke ki thip pen eng tang thip ki theng pen eng tang phit ven gong che pang dang ven gong che pang dang che the bang nang thap bong me bang nang thap ni hang keng det ke dam ni jang keng det ke dam urmi kiri dam durmi kiri dam ser da lo parai rup da lo parai ser pin dong athak rup pin dong athak urmi kiri dam lo durmi kiri na lo pinu pedra ko ponu parai ko bi ven nang hiru bi thung le nang hiru le bi ven nang han nang bar bi thung han nang bar urmi ke thek dam lo durmi ke thek dam lo ki ma long ke wang ra ka long ke wang o pi theri cho o pi theri cho urmi ke thek dam lo durmi ke thek dam lo to la ke me lo to la ke chok lo urmi wan ji ko mat durmi wan ji ko mat urmi wan ji tang te durmi wan ji tang te sing bahar de lo long bahar de lo nang sing bahar le si long bahar le si bang asai jok je bang asai long le urmi ke endam durmi ke endam it may take more than an hour if I have to recite the full version so since we are running out of time I guess I have to stop to here so thank you so much Dharam Singh Dhawan sir he is actually one of my idol my mentor thank you so much.
Thank you. Impressive. Thank you. I actually love the topic, worldview, and I think that it is probably an essential character of any culture or any civilization to have a particular worldview. And now, of course, we have social media, we have intercontinental flights, trains, so we're more connected than ever. But the particular, since we have Jovan here, and Dassem, the Weltanschauung of every culture is unique. Every culture is the center of its own universe. And it is from there that we spread. And for that reason, many religions don't even have a name, right? Because they never have to explain to someone what religion they are until they meet someone from another religion. So until then, for that reason, many ancient cultures do not have a name for their belief system. It's just God. In fact, many people don't even have a name for themselves in the days of great insularity and isolation, because they never meet anyone who does not know who they are. It's only when you meet a foreigner that he says, well, I'm German, what are you? And then you have to scratch your head and say, like, what am I? In the same way, if you meet a Christian or a Muslim, they say, like, I'm a Muslim, what is your religion? Then you have to figure out what to call yourself. So that unique worldview that is particular to the Karbi Anglong is also particular to the Ao Nagas. It's also particular, not to Nagaland, but it's really more of an anthropological, sociological thing. So one of the things that the listener is trying to do, and it is a growing idea, it's an evolving idea, and we can talk a little more about this in the session coming up, is to look at the various worldviews, particular to every state. Not every state, sorry, to every culture or every tribe. And so when that gets eroded, as you're the first Karbi gentleman I've ever met, much less listened to. You're the second person after him, right? So, I mean, I was struck this morning, earlier, when you said, this is the first time you've been invited across, just over the border. In fact, you're the next door neighbor to Santila, right? And to not have been invited to give your talk, it's so common. I mean, the region has particularities that have similarities, but how often do we really actually talk to each other? Last time I had a friend from Assam who had translated, a Manipuri guy had translated his book in English by an Assamese author into Manipuri. And I like that very much. So the worldviews that we have for each other are unique, number one. Number two, with more communication, it's eroding, it's changing. And number three, maybe this is not a good question, but is it a good thing or a bad thing that we are losing our worldview is changing? And I think that's something that we can put it out to the people in the auditorium, right? So does anyone have a question or a comment to make? Anyone? Is there something that you would like to add to what I just said?
Thank you so much. Yes, because to retain, our forefathers' worldview, this is a challenge. It's becoming more and more, bigger and bigger. The challenge is becoming bigger and bigger because of so many factors. We adopt different worldviews. Say, for example, my name is a completely Hinduized kind of name, but I'm not a Hindu. Or even D.S. Lekthe, somehow this gives you an indication how much, to what level our worldviews, the communities of smaller, people, smaller tribes, they are always, prone to change their views, change their worldviews, which is very unfortunate. Once we lose our worldviews, everything changes, because the whole day we have been talking about this, how it has become an increasing challenge for everyone here in the Northeast. So many languages are dying, and so many languages are on the verge of death. And then once these languages disappear, a lot about the information on diversity of ideas, worldviews will automatically die out. They will simply vanish, and the diversity, like the kind of flower garden that we wish to see, different colors, different flowers. So everything will be only one color. So that shouldn't happen. So that's basically the idea.
I wanted to grab the microphone because I love that analogy of the flowers. What I use in conversation is that every language is a window. It looks upon one aspect of reality outside from one viewpoint. So your Karbi Anglong view, worldview, we're living in the same house, the same planet, right? But the reality we look at is from different angles. So I do some translation work, and I find that there are certain words that cannot be translated, which means that language is a particular way of thinking. There's a word in Japanese for all the books that you have by your bedside that you want to and you plan to read but you never read. I'm sure you have, how many books do you have by your bedside that you have not read yet? But you're thinking, okay, tomorrow I'll start and I'll finish this next month and all that. You too, right? There's so many unread books. The Japanese have a word for it. One word. They have a word for getting fat after you get married. It's called happy fat. Right? You don't have to work out anymore. You don't have to go to the gym, to go to the nightclub to meet potential partners, right? And so once you get married, you start to spread out. And they call it happy fat. So there are many ways of looking at the world, and that's why I don't think we should lose those. We should not lose the language, which is the window, and we should not lose the worldview. At the same time, Dr. Tehran, is there such a thing as progress? Is there such a thing as advancement that you think is it desirable? Is it unavoidable? What do we do with the notion of progress? This morning, we had this thing about this Naga shawl that cannot be worn by women. There's a good reason for it, right? And I just came from, I'm sorry I'm late, I was up in the workshop, and one of the experts up there said, you can change things, but it must be with sympathy to the past. You must sympathize with the past. You must respect it, therefore, if you have sympathy. So, what do you think about progress, change, women's equality, scientific thinking? Are these good things? And what happens when it clashes with your worldview? Oh, sorry.
Please ask that question. That's also interesting. And after that, I will ask.
I was talking about liminality, life and death. Actually, I was using some metaphors and also some, ritual items that we use in Karbi religious festivals. So what do they actually tell us? I mean, when we talk about change means, certain things will disappear, and new things will come, but not at the cost of completely doing away with, our past. Our past will always be there. And then the past, in fact, doesn't go. The past is in the present. So in our practice, in our daily practice, though, we don't actually take note of these changes or these practical things, these practicalities. But they're happening with us every moment that we are alive. And these are this didn't matter to us at all, because we have been, looking at these every now and then. So as if they're, simple things. But these are actually telling us in so many different ways. You can even take it philosophically, or you can just take it as, just a kind of symbol. So we live by them all the time. Thank you.
To summarize
Doctor,
that,
yeah.
there's an author, science fiction writer called Neil Stephenson, who said, religion is not for stupid people.
Dr. Dharam, what you were just saying a short while ago about even my name is Hindu, like it's not my name. So how did you come by Dharam? And also I know Indrajits, I know Sanjays, and I know, so how did that Hindu names come into the worldview of the Karbi?
Now, many youngsters, even my son, he has a very traditional Karbi name. And like that, because the name is an identity. I'm known by a particular name, and that's my identity. And then you don't want to, identify yourself as somebody else. Now, because I have, come across many instances like that. They call out my name, and then simply Dharam Singh. So I was once summoned in police station in Oslo. They wanted to see my face. He is not only Singh, but beyond Singh, there is one more tribal name, which is Peron. But they insisted that, no, we want to see him because that was, Khalistan time. They wanted to see me, and I had to go to the police station and present myself before the police officer. And then when he saw me, he smiled. And I said, oh, it's okay, now I understand. So, it's identity, basically.
One last thing, my name is Laipangbam Somi Roy. I always have to explain this. Laipangbam is Meitei Long, Somi is Tangkhul Naga, Roy is Bengali. How did all this happen? And one time I was at Manipur University, and I was looking at the grades of all the students that had passed the exam. All the names are different. Some people had Western names like Romeo. Other people had, and half of them, all the men are Singhs. All are all Singhs, right? And then some people drop that and put in Meitei there is no systematic way of naming people. Okay? So what's in a name? Everything is in a name. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for such insightful sharing. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have now reached the concluding session of today's insightful event, the final session, the way forward. It will be a culmination of the wisdom and knowledge we've gathered over these enlightening discussions. Leading the way as our lead discussant is Professor Dr. Gilvan Oliveira. With a wealth of experience and expertise, Dr. Oliveira will guide us towards understanding the path forward. Please welcome Dr. Gilvan Oliveira. Joining him are our esteemed panelists, Dr. Umarani, Mr. Somi Roy, and Mufatiba Longkumar, Principal and the co-convener of Intact Nagaland Chapter. These experts will share their perspectives on how we can translate the insights gained into meaningful actions. As we reflect on the enriching discussions of the day, this final session will set the stage for what comes next, emphasizing the importance of carrying forward the torch of cultural preservation and understanding. So let's gather our thoughts and please join me in welcoming all our distinguished guests for the way forward. Mr. Dharam Singh, could you please kindly join us up here?
I'm here.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank all people that brought their words in this wonderful festival, singers, speakers, gurus, in presentations of diverse types with so many ideas and so many work behind. So we are here to discuss. I'm here only coordinating this discussion so that we could get ideas for the future, ideas for developing the festival in different directions and in different aspects. Now I would like only to begin with one topic and then I give the word to my colleagues. How could we improve the multilingual character of the listener, provoking uses of different uses of different languages, using translation, using interpretation, including all classes of languages that are present in a region. For example, it's very important to give importance to the mother tongues and traditional languages. But for example, in Nagaland, Nagamese is an important language as well. It should not be forgotten that a multiplicity of languages are there, even when we don't see them with the same eyes. For example, sign languages. In UNESCO, sign languages came to a central part of the stage because till some decades ago, sign languages were not recognized as languages. And today we know that in the world there are 122 recognized sign languages. Millions of people are users of sign language. Just to give an example how we could expand the view of multilingualism in diverse directions. In this aspect, we could get some ideas from the present people. For example, for developing community dialogues about languages experiences, traditional food and crafts connected to languages, oral histories exhibitions, language workshops where people could quickly learn small parts of a language and make experiences, learning languages, teaching languages. And maybe it would be very interesting to have a program for kids, that kids could participate in the festival, learning cooking traditional food spoken in the languages, or developing some languages games. Now we have some museums in the world that are language museums. In São Paulo, for example, we have the Museum of the Portuguese Language, and there are many games with language for for kids finding words and etc. So just some small ideas in one topic, how to improve multilingualism and the use of languages. We could develop other lines, and I ask my colleagues to give other ideas, and then we can discuss multiplicity of Maren.
Yeah, just to add to what you said, we can make it more colorful and more festive-like, because of course these 2 days was a wonderful experience, knowing about many traditions and oralities of not only Nagaland but Meghalaya too, because we had a chance to experience something from the whistling sounds and other aspects of Khasi culture. I was also wondering, it would be nice with the advances in technology to have some kind of interactive maps or something, like, since Jilwan just mentioned about language museums, it would be nice to have some stalls installed where you have a booth for interactive maps. Not only kids, even others who want to know about, say, Karbi culture or this chanting, what just a while ago someone was presenting. So you just touch a button, you just going to click on a tribe, you click sub-tribes, and what's more important, featuring something digitally, and that will be a unique experience. Maybe over the years, as listener expands from one state to another, maybe this could happen. It just occurred to me when you mentioned about museum. I thought that could be one aspect what is lacking here, because we are now living in the digital era. So that way it would also give a digital presence, thereby leading to digital empowerment, if I may say so, for these languages. So coming back to stalls, I thought like 1 or 2 days, I do not know, depending on the funding, how many days one could go on with this festival. Right now we have 3 days, and I know it's very difficult to put things together. So maybe we could also have 1 day exclusively for exhibitions and stalls, where we get some visual experience, come back and talk about it in the seminars. Like 1 day, like the Mexicans do, for instance. Because I was lucky enough to be part of one of those workshops, where before the actual festival began, a pre-festival exhibition or something like that, where you have stalls or a few stalls for different states, 8 states, depends on how much we can do, how much money we get to put up those stalls, and what are the things, like you said, the food galleries, or maybe these costumes and ornaments which are very important, or whatever is very specific and unique to that particular culture, like our Nagas. What makes them so distinct from Angami? Maybe a stall for that, and have some items. And the language games, what you mentioned, maybe we could have a stall where children can play. We can have some interesting language puzzles or games, and maybe some competitions, so that it's not raising revenue, but anything that comes free is not well taken in several countries. So if you charge a little, maybe they also say, okay, I paid some 50 rupees or something to participate, I should be a winner. We want everyone to be a winner, but their competitions make it more exciting. So for kids and for other, also for storytellers, competitions across the states or something, not to create any division among states, but to create more and more curiosity and see that many more participations come. And it would be nice to have at least one representative from each state in all the listener festivals. The main focus can be on the host state, but we must include at least 1 or 2 programs. It could be a song, or it could be a language game, some activity which represents Sikkim or something about Tripura, so that we have an experience of all the states. I will continue after my other colleague speaks.
I want to thank you both. I especially want to thank Uma, because she's been to both listener festivals, both in Manipur and in Kohima. Of course, we'd worked before and virtually, but he really didn't meet people here, didn't experience it here. The Impal one was 1 day longer than here, and there are a few things, and Santila will add to this later, that we wanted to do, which was all on our cards, we planned, etc., but eventually we did not do, okay? And she'll tell you more about those later. I'll tell you the one thing that we've been doing is to try to do things that we failed to do last time, that we always wanted to do. Like, two main things this year. One is that we had a fabulous social media team, okay? And what we did in social media in the Impal Listener and what we did in, our team did for Listener Nagaland is night and day. Led by Lipok. Where's Lipok? Somewhere there. Anyway, take a bow wherever you are. Attila, Tangdong. I mean, these were amazing. We were rolling out the Listener of Nagaland, one Instagram post at a time, every day, every 24 hours. And we started that to build an awareness of the concept of the festival before we began to post the details, like who's coming for us. Before that, we actually said, like, who is the listener for? What is it about? We have to roll that out, so we created a new Instagram thing. Please understand, this is only the second festival, and both festivals are taking place in 2023. We had only, 8 months, was it, Santila? February to November, right? 7 months to put this together, because we fell out of step with the first one. We were delayed for some fundraising reasons, like funds that were promised to us that was not confirmed, so we kept waiting for it. And so we had planned to do this last October. We ended up doing it in February, and we did a Kickstart program at UNESCO in December instead. So this is an evolving concept, and we're going to take notes about what you said. We're going to think about all these things. You know, there's my partner, Sanjeev, my partner, Atul, Santila, me. I mean, we're going to process all this down the line in the next couple of weeks as we prepare our dossier and report, and to see where we failed to do, where we exceeded our expectations. The design work this time is much better and professional, because Lipok is a very good designer. And his social media team that he put together of Attila, wave, she's waving in the back over there. And Tangdong, who's probably posting about us right now, has been really very good. And the second thing that we were not able to do last time, but we were able to pull off this time, is the live streaming. Okay, so that is something that we are actually getting responses on the email that we put there. People are watching. They indeed are watching. Now the people are saying, like Preeti Gill is saying, oh, I've been watching this, I'm going to come next year. So this is having that very salutary effect. So that is one thing that's very good. We tried to do children. We talked about doing things for the blind, school for the blind, because oral literature is obviously for people who don't read. Right? You don't have to read oral literature. So apart from sign language, we also wanted to appeal to blind kids. There's a visually impaired school around here, and most cities have them. Most state capitals have them. So that's one thing we thought about. Her program is different from the Impal program, right? Both of them, I mean, it's quite incredible. The narrative of the show was an entrancing thing. The actual ritual, that was, the Heraka ritual, was also fabulous, right? Yesterday was more on performance as music. Today was more on the languages, So, and the question about why not use our own languages, etc., which the gentleman had asked before, I think it's a very important question. Do I agree with it? Yes. Do I disagree with it? No. So actually there's something to be said about what he's saying. Why is it that in our proposal, Santila, we wrote that the language of the festival is English. It has to be English. We have no choice. There's no lingua franca for the entire region. So it is what it is. So we have to use that. But at the same time, like today's prayers, today's the recitation by Lekte, D.S. Lekte, right? And the Haraka prayers, for instance. Now these are all, we've recorded everything, and we've started a listener collection at UNT, University of North Texas, outside of Dallas, in a town called Denton. And so everything that we taped last time, in Impal, we edited it. You can see it online now on YouTube, and the original files in high res are now sitting in Texas. We had professors and staff in UNT, and as well as Indiana University. They're handling this. And the reason we give it to them is because they have an institutional commitment, a demonstrated commitment to archiving. Because archiving is an ongoing thing. It's never going to end. You really have to have funds committed and an institutional policy commitment. So the idea of multilingualism, we want to add that to the archival concept too. And so the recordings today of the actual languages being spoken that we heard, that I didn't understand a word of. I turned to Wicham, who's from Tamenglong in Manipur. He's handling the archive here. I asked him, can you understand what the Haraka people are saying and talking? He says, it's my language, but I cannot understand them. What an amazing statement, you know? So we will keep growing, we will keep evolving, we'll keep changing, and whatever works we'll do more of. As Da Vinci said, some things work, many fail. Whatever works, I do more of it. That's what he said. So we're good. Basically, we're taking notes or mental notes. At least our team over there, as we move, towards the end of this, and especially Uma, your feel of the festival, that it should be more fun, something more physically active, like going to a stall or doing word games or something. I think that's a very important thing, so that people feel a sense of belonging and interactivity, right? So all your comments from now on, I talk too much, I'll stop here. From now on, we're going to listen to you, because your first impressions, anything that you want to say about how we do it, and what it was like to listen to Jemarin again, for instance, right? I want to hear. We want to hear.
Thank you. I'd like to share a special thanks to you and your foundation, Imasi Foundation, for, in fact, conceptualizing this festival of orality, and then bringing all the brilliant resource persons from all over the world. So this is a very golden opportunity that I'm also experiencing today, starting from day before. In fact, now we have discussed in length, so I don't think I can put or add much to it. And then I feel that we are the most privileged lot. We are sitting here comfortably thinking and worrying about those people who are going to lose their language. We understand the problem. We discuss here so much. But the person, the targeted group, they are not aware. This is how I look at things. So then, how do we reach out to them? That is what I was just pondering over it. Because we have to find a way forward to remedy them. That is what I was just contemplating. I don't have a ready-made answer for that anyway. But this festival will provide a better platform and future. And not only that, when we have such festival, I think it'll be good enough for us to think about or conceptualize certain pilot project to translate our efforts here into a reality for those languages which are going to be disappeared or will be lost forever. So I think if we can initiate certain project towards that direction, identify from the listing who are immediately to be losing their language. We cannot go at once to all those languages who are endangered, but especially to those languages which are now just on the fringes to be lost within a span of 1 or 2 years' time, or maybe 5 years' time, so that we find a way and then try to find a practical solution to their problem. I think if we can move towards that direction also through this platform, I think that will be one egg of way forward. That is what I feel. Like for instance, I'll just bring one simple example with our community. We had an academy. That means this is a traditional institution. So it will be good in that traditional institution is as good as phased out now. Now if we can reintroduce that traditional institution, which in fact is an academy, because with our community, Arichu was the place of learning, where the elderlies and the villagers used to teach the younger generation. Now that physical space, Arichu, is gone, and nobody is there, since there is no house. Okay, that academy is no more. And you know, this phasing out happens with the like external influences, such as religion, advent of religion, and then again with the Western administration coming over, so substituting our traditional exercises, you know. So then, what do we do about this? Because that particular institution, the Arichu that I am referring to, the younger ones used to sleep overnight. And that is the time, in the evening time, to sing song, to learn how to sing song, and again, learn how to speak in a deep meaning of our own community. And then, like sing song means sing talk, because they used to communicate by singing also. Okay, two-way system. And then again, that sing song or sing speak system used to have again few genres. So even now, still some residue of those things are still remaining there with the elders. So if we can reinstitute such academy or such establishment, then I think the retention of the language will be there, continuity will be maintained. So this is, I think, one way that I was just thinking over the last few days when we were deliberating on how to conserve or how to revive languages that are to be lost in a very short time from now. So I think maybe I can pass it on.
Want to add something about your dormant, the idea of dormancy or not? You can go back. Keep it short and go back.
Yeah, so, sorry?
So in Hawaii, you said there's a concept of
Yes, okay, yeah.
dormancy in
Yes,
culture.
yes, the University of Hawaii, the people
That can be
who are
revived.
engaged. Yes. The University of Hawaii in the United States are working on a concept called dormant languages, like I mentioned in the morning. Many of our languages here are in that state, like sleeping beauties, sleeping languages. So maybe we need to wake them up, and for that, whatever you're saying, something like language nests and kind of apprentice programs, the elders teaching youngsters at leisure hours. Either you could have the old style, or maybe you could have it during the weekends. Something that comes to my mind is nowadays most parents send their kids to different camps, summer camps, winter camps. Why not indigenous language camps? So this is something MRC or INTAC can take it up because that is something which will be beneficial for intergenerational knowledge transmission.
That is it. When we talk about this kind of initiatives, the initiatives I think should also come from the communities, and as he was very rightly saying that we are here in the comfort of this beautiful building, and then the people who are actually suffering or going through that problem of language loss or culture loss, they are not aware of it. I'm talking about the Kirby experience. In 1974, so some 50 years ago, we organized the Kirby Youth Festival. So that was basically, the Kirby Youth Festival because it made sense, because we wanted to ensure that our younger generation is aware of the situation that we are going through, and then creating awareness that unless you wake up, unless you stand up and do something, to preserve your cultural heritages, everything will go. It doesn't take long. So today it is 50 years, and then again, since about 10 years, schools have sprung up, where young people are taught how to sing, the kind of chant that my colleague had just demonstrated. So we are teaching young people from different backgrounds. So some wants to become priests, so they need to learn the art. So they come take part in the school. So these are kind of not very formal kind of schools. They come, they take part, and maybe thrice or twice in a week. And the teachers, they come. Teachers may be from anyone, but we have a group of people who will, certain people will teach them drumming, certain people will teach them how to chant. So as he was, talking about the old tradition, the kind of, our tribal institutions, which have now disappeared, but they still have very practical implications for us. And then now with the advancement of digital technology, so many things can be used. As earlier during one of the sessions, some of our friends demonstrated how digital art can be used to popularize and make people aware of their heritages. So I think in Kirby experience, these have been gaining ground, and then actually people are rediscovering themselves. That yes, there are still so many things that we can be proud of, and then there are still possibilities that we can actually preserve without so much of government involvement. Because we always look up to the government that they will do something, and then yes, let that day come. That day may not come. So that has something to do with the community engagement. Thank you.
I'm going to ask Santila to give your thoughts, and after which we would love to hear from Anish. Okay, so Santila.
Check. I think in the last 2 days there's been some very robust sessions. It's been very interesting. It's been totally our pleasure to invite everyone to give in their worldview, as Dr. Dharam would say. And it's very important that intergenerational transmission should be there, because that is the core of what this festival is about. And not only listener, but it is the core of every cultural initiative, regardless. So, how do we reach out to the young? Change for me is the only constant. And we must adapt, what we have brought with us from the past and repackage it and then, send it out so that it reaches out to a wider audience, which is the younger lot. And that's very important, that the young should be involved, they should be made aware, and I think more than anything, the young parents of today, a lot of the onus is on their shoulders, because they themselves have veered away because they've not been taught, they never heard those stories. So it is time for them to also revert back and take lessons from the past and see how it can be, how they themselves can transmit it to their children. So we are talking about, reaching out to the younger lot, but I think today's generation, especially young parents, I think they also need to be, they need to be reached out so that they themselves are the storytellers for their children.
Could we put the microphone to Anish, one of you guys? Any volunteer? Yeah, sure.
There's a register of good practices which is maintained. So I'd like Jivan to tell us about it and whether our deliberations of the last few days, can it be sort of distilled and proposal sent to the ministry? So maybe Anish should comment on that possible.
Can you repeat the question?
We could not hear you well. Could you raise your voice volume or something?
So there is a register of good practices just for preservation, for conservation. So I was wondering whether our deliberation for the last few days, we could add and suggest some additions to that register and send a proposal to the ministry. So maybe Anish can comment upon that as well. Is such a possibility exists? It's a feasible proposition?
Okay, so Anish, do you want to add something to that, and then we'll talk to Jivan after that? We have a nice young volunteer here, very energetic, called Juba.
Answering it. Anyway, thank you for the opportunity. I was just wondering why I've been asked to speak on this. Sanjeev sir, the ministry is having, in fact, they have been involved in, not my bureau, another bureau has been, especially the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav bureau, has been involved in, party was designated to collect this, and also the Akkam bureau was. So if you collect and if you give the proposal, I think that bureau would be able to look into that, and we will be having an official documentation of that. That is for the official part of it. I'm not an expert on anything here, what is spoken over here. However, I was wondering whether the element of human library has been touched upon here, because I think in Europe they have started the libraries, listening library, where the older generation, they come and sit for half an hour and speak to, other than reading a book. So libraries have been converted. So this is a new mode of library whereby those who are quite old, who are having a lot of stories, I'm not saying that they are being seen as a book, but as a resource, not as a commodity, but as a resource, and it becomes a very lively tradition. In fact, I've suggested this in one of our meetings in ministry, that why don't we also reimagine the concept of library, because most of the times reading a book will take time, and listening to a podcast is mechanical. I don't listen a book. I would rather prefer to read a book. But why can't we combine both? No. So maybe in order to protect the language, to preserve the language and art, orality for that matter, and the generations should understand, in fact all the generations should understand, it is orality that made the entire knowledge possible to be transmitted. I don't think any other mode would have existed before the advent of print or any other medium. So maybe we can start from this college itself. When Tesco College itself can think of starting a human library of at least once in a month, students listen to the old generation as a part of their assignment, as a part of their mandatory assignment. And one measure which we have mentioned, or we have suggested to the new education policy is that other than making so many ideals into the policy, we should also make it as a part of mandatory assessment, whether it is earlier traditions, big or what you call especially for the teachers. People have a tendency to look down upon the younger generation and the students, saying that they are not into big, but a huge responsibility also lies on pedagogical exercise, an official mandatory assessment part as well, including everything. That is my little submission here. If I don't know whether I'm making a sense with this particular panel, but coming back to the concern, even give the support whatever required for it.
Well, I'll turn it over to Gilvan, but when I talked to Sahitya Academy last year, maybe we developed proposals for them around the time we were meeting with you as well, Anish, and
show an incredible capacity of creating awareness of so many important and complex things. So Somi mentioned in the first day, I believe, that the listener is a social movement. This idea should not be lost. If the listener is a social movement, how could the festival get contact and cooperation of other social movements? Association from teachers, village associations, other kinds of institutions that exist that could get this awareness that the festival is creating and could discuss their problems associated to multilingualism, orality, oral literature, arts, etc. in this information what to do with the languages for the kids. Families in many cases want to speak the language, but then begin speaking English with the kids because they don't know exactly how they could make of the editions and the documents, the questions that have been thematized in each one, and how this development happens. That could be
oral literature. It is what it is, right? But this idea, like, and with young parents, as Santina was saying, I mean, I wrote a children's book. I have no idea how to write a children's book because I have no children, never read books to them, but I fluked out and published one. In Manipur, they're reading it because it's about Manipuri myths. And parents are buying it for the kids. Schools are buying it in bulk to give out as prizes. It's the young parents that are reading it a lot. to transmit that stories and mythologies to their children. So, you know that just last month or 2 months ago, like 150,000 titles have gone into this library, this oral library, this listening library. So we have to find ways to get this active. I'm going to say this, I go out on a limb, and I'm going to say this, but I've already talked to Ted Silv, to the principal and to the managing. It's a continuing, ongoing conversation. I want eventually to, I don't want to hear from Sahitya Academy from...
To the three of you, Sanjeeva, Anisha and Somi. See, oral literature is of course something we need to consider because we are talking about indigenous languages and communities where a lot of stuff is still in the oral form. So maybe taking all the three of your points and coming back to NEP 2020, schools, colleges can set up fun activities as mandatory, of course. There one could take up some kind of language poetry walls or digital poetry walls. This could be done in form of competitions also, and give some prizes and other things. Like I already pointed out, some kind, whatever we have done here is fantastic. First of all, congratulations to Intact Nagaland and Yamasi for putting up this. But these two lessons, what we have learned from Imphal and Nagaland, can be shared with the rest of the sisters and the lone brother Sikkim, so that they are motivated to be part of us and maybe send people to participate in our festival. We could do much more. Like you said, the ball keeps rolling, but there's plenty of things to do. There are plenty of things to do in this because we have ignored another important component is folklore, because that's also there where you can have some puzzles and riddles written on walls and displayed for the ball to roll on.
Well, actually, this can go on and on, but I'm currently just joined comparative Himalaya called Mala Sri Lal of English Literature from DU, Delhi University. So before coming here, I just